Hi everyone, I'm Kenny McIntosh here at WhatCulture.com, and you're about to get 20 minutes of audio goodness where I interviewed WWE superstar Sasha Banks. Now, some of you will be wondering why it was me that was chosen to go to the Hydro to speak to Sasha. So before we get to the interview, I wanted to explain to you why it's me before you comment below and you start swearing and saying all the stuff you usually say about me. So we tried to send other members of the WhatCulture team, and they said no. First of all, we tried to send King Ross, and he had a prepared statement he wanted me to read as to why he would not interview Sasha Banks. Here is what he said. He said, Sasha Banks is one of my most loyal subjects. However, she is a peasant, therefore not worthy of my time. So Ross couldn't do it. We tried to get Jack, but unfortunately, the WWE will not allow children to do media unless accompanied by a guardian. And finally, we really wanted Adam Blompier to go there and to interview Sasha, but sadly, the restraining order is still in effect. So, it is me that speaks to Sasha Banks. She is here now, 20 minutes, with one of the best WWE superstars of today. Thank you for all your support. Comment, let us know what you think. Subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Hi everyone, welcome to WhatCulture.com. My name is Kenny McIntosh, and I am here at the Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland, just before the WWE live show tonight, and I have a very special guest with me. She is one of the biggest superstars in WWE, not divas, we don't use that term anymore. She was at WrestleMania 32 along with Becky Lynch and Charlotte in the Women's Championship match. It is the one and only Sasha Banks, and Sasha, I just want to get straight into it and ask you the first question. You know, I feel like I've followed your career a little bit more intensely than maybe some other people have, or I'm a bit more invested in it. Because I was in San Jose last year for WrestleMania, and I was there for your match at the NXT event with Charlotte, and you know, when the announcement was made, the following contest will be for the NXT Women's Championship, there was such a huge reaction that was really big at the time. And then fast forward to Brooklyn, and I was there for SummerSlam weekend, and you had the match with Bayley, where you know you guys stole the show that weekend. You had the best match of the weekend. And then fast forward to Dallas, I was there for WrestleMania, and you and Becky and Charlotte were there fighting for the Women's Championship. You guys got it changed from the Divas title to the Women's title. Can you talk us through that year and just the whirlwind it was, and what kind of how women's wrestling has evolved in the last 12 months and how you feel about it?
It's so crazy that legit that was a year ago, and how far I've come just from that match from San Jose. And I remember going out for that match and being so nervous because Shawn Michaels was in the back and Scott Hall was in the back. Like, so many people were watching us, but every time I have a match, my goal is to be the best match on the card. So it's crazy how much women's wrestling has evolved just from a year ago, and just from a couple years ago when we were used to be called the bathroom break, and fans would used to leave the arena to go to the bathroom. Now people want to buy tickets to see the women and see us perform. And from that match to my match with Bayley at NXT Brooklyn, that's one of my favorite matches. And then WrestleMania, man, that's a dream come true. And to have Snoop Dogg come out and sing my song was so cool. So it's truly humbling, and just to know that we're not divas anymore, I think that's huge. Like, they changed a whole division. We're respected now, we're equal, we're superstars, and I can't believe I'm a part of it. It's amazing.
And let's talk a little bit more about that. You know, you're in this triple threat match at WrestleMania 32 with Charlotte and Becky. You guys have all the history. I mean, it's weird for someone so soon in their career to have their WrestleMania moment. What did that feel like for you to have that so soon into your career?
That was just a first thing. And now I have so much more that I want after having that experience. The build-up to it was, you know, when I found out that I was going to be part of WrestleMania, I really just didn't let it settle in, because anything can happen and they can change things all the time. But I remember just being so nervous just because I haven't even been on the main roster a year yet. And to be in the match with Becky and Charlotte, with girls I've started with in NXT, like, I couldn't believe it, but I was just so nervous but excited, and I couldn't believe it until everything was over. And I looked at the crowd and I was like, holy crap.
I wanted to ask as well about, you know, your goals going forward in WWE, because with now being a superstar, not a diva, having that changed, and you know, all the stuff that's happened with the women on the main roster, going forward, what is it that you'd like to achieve within the company?
Gosh, you know, it's so crazy. When I was in NXT, I thought I achieved everything I wanted, like changing the women's division, having people respect me, yada, yada, yada. But now, of course, I want to win the women's title. Little goals, like I want to wrestle in Japan. I want to be the GM of Raw. Like, I have little goals that I would like to achieve before, I hang up my boots. But yeah, I just one day at a time.
Obviously, your attire at WrestleMania was a tribute to Eddie Guerrero, who you've spoken very highly of. Whose idea was it for you to have that gear, and how it came about?
But yeah, I just knew Eddie was such a big inspiration to me. He's the reason I wanted to be a wrestler. He was the first match I've ever saw, and I was like, wow, I got instantly hooked. So it just felt right. Everything just felt right. Like, I wanted that gear.
And just to follow up on that with Eddie, I would be amiss to not bring up this week Eddie's Mamacita, China, who sadly passed away. It was a real tragedy, and everybody's talking about it. WWE had that great video package on Raw about China, and everyone's really sad about it. But what do you think China's legacy is, and what did it mean to you with what she did in wrestling?
It's huge. She's really changed the game for women and how we were looked at differently. Like, never before did you see a woman like her in the WWE until she stepped foot in there. And man, she was something special. So that news was so sad to hear, and it's really sad when any wrestler passes away. But she was special.
And what maybe a lot of people don't know about you is you had a really quick rise in your career. You started training in like 2008, and you had your first match in 2010, and then we're in 2016. You're already a featured part of WrestleMania. Talk about that sort of quick ascension and that quick rise in WWE.
I've only been in wrestling for 6 years total. 4 years in WWE, and gosh, it's crazy because I legit came into WWE thinking that I was just going to be another diva, a girl who did bra and panties matches, and I was okay with that because I wanted to be in WWE. But when we finally got the opportunity to be like, no, I want to be more than this, I never wanted to go back to having bra and panty matches because when I grew up watching that stuff, it hurt me. I always watched the guys, and I always inspired to be like the guys. So, it's when I think about it, it makes me cry.
And with that big rise and it being relatively quickly, etc., what would you say has made you stand out and made that be possible for you?
Well, definitely the boss character, what made people take notice of me. I came into NXT just a happy girl that got signed, living her dream, but I knew I needed more. I knew I needed something to make me stand out, and it wasn't until I found this boss within, because I always knew that I was good, and I always wanted to be the best. Man, woman, doesn't matter. I always wanted to be the best. So, the boss helped me, show people that I am the best. So.
And obviously being in the UK, the UK and in Europe in general, I guess, it's a really rabid fan base. We don't get WWE a lot, so we're very loud and very proud about it. What is the reaction like when you come over here and get to compete in Europe?
The crowd is just always so excited to see us, which makes me more excited when I perform. Today I got to walk around Glasgow, and there were so many fans in the street, just wearing my stuff, and was excited to see me. And it makes it so much more fun when we get to come here, and the crowd is always so loud. They're respectful too, and it makes wrestling so much more better.
Is there a weird kind of, almost like a catch-22, because you're in NXT and you love it, but you obviously want to get to the main roster, which you have, and that's the dream, to get on Raw and pay-per-view, but it's like you kind of almost still miss the fun of NXT, even though you kind of want to be in both places.
When I got called up, well, I guess after NXT Brooklyn, I thought that was my last show, so I was so so upset, but we got one more show at the 30-woman Iron Woman match, first time ever, thank you very much. So yeah, it's so hard for me to watch NXT. I get so jealous of seeing Bayley and Peyton and Billie Kay and Asuka, and I see these women have these matches, and I'm just like, oh, I miss that, but at the same time, I want what I had at NXT up on the main roster, so I know I have to start over and make it grow again. So hopefully we can have that appear. And when the women come up to the main roster, we can have these matches and be main event again, and just keep on growing. So yeah.
And you must have been over the moon as well at the Royal Rumble when the reception that you got when you came out to confront Charlotte. I mean, you would have thought Steve Austin had returned. How did you feel about that reaction?
All the time, like, to me, I never know how the crowd's going to react. And when I came back in Orlando, which is like a second home now, that reaction just gave me goosebumps. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is so cool. But it's always exciting. Anytime the fans chant my name, I'm always taken back by it. But at the same time, I feel like this 10-year-old girl is just like, hell yeah, this is awesome.
And moving up to the main roster, obviously, is the goal. But in terms of the crowds, what did you find the main difference was between the crowds in NXT, which were obviously smaller, compared to the crowd in the main roster?
In NXT, it's very intimate. Like, it's so much a smaller crowd, so you can legit point to this fan, and he knows that you're pointing to him. And on the main roster, it's like we have so many more people in the audience, so you have to connect to them even more, which makes it a little bit more harder. But the challenge is always fun. NXT, the crowd is, of course, amazing, But at the same time, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't hard. But I'm happy that I'm on the main roster and watching it grow.
And Bayley obviously is Bayley's your BFF. You guys have had all these great matches and done so much together in NXT. You must be pretty much looking forward to her coming up and you guys being able to recreate some of that magic on Raw and on pay-per-view.
I can't. Her and Danilo the Ref are the two people I need to meet up here. I think I'll be complete once they're up here.
And you've made no bones about it. Like, you were a big wrestling fan growing up, you still are. Who were your sort of idols in wrestling, except Eddie Guerrero?
I love Eddie, Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, Dean Malenko, all those guys, they're amazing.
So I want to ask you a different kind of question. I want to ask you, because we always get asked this in our channel and stuff, like if there was somebody who you knew that didn't watch wrestling and you wanted to suggest a match to them that wasn't one of yours, but something else to get them hooked on wrestling or kind of make them understand why we love it, what would you choose?
That's too hard.
I mean, my one would be Taker and Shawn. That Undertaker Shawn Michaels at 25. That would be mine.
That one's really, really good. It has all the emotion and you can feel everything. I love that one. Of course, I love everything Eddie. It's amazing. Gosh, that's too hard.
And do you have a favorite Eddie match?
Of course, Halloween Havoc. God, there's so many. No, you can't make me choose.
That's okay. I'll ask you again when you come back. And Charlotte has Ric Flair as her manager. Natty has Bret Hart this Sunday at Payback. If you had to have a manager in WWE, who would you choose?
Nobody, because I'm the best. If I had to choose someone, I guess I would bring Snoop out. How about, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's so cool. I love him. He'd be awesome.
And with being up on the main roster and being at WrestleMania, it got me thinking about, you met a lot of legends, I guess, at WrestleMania. How nervous were you when you met them?
I always get nervous. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, he is so nice, and like every time he gives me a hug, or even when he says my name, I'm like, do you know who I am? Like, so cool. The Rock is always awesome. Shawn Michaels, like even Chris Jericho, like just talking to him, I get like such a fangirl again. Like it's so cool, but I always get nervous. I'm like, keep it in, be cool, and then I always ask for a picture too. But whatever. I'm a fan at heart.
Whenever I look at your Twitter account, there's a lot of times where there's young girls tweeting you pictures of them wearing the rings or your glasses. That must be really cool for you to see that you're having an influence and that young girls are wearing your stuff and that they look up to you.
It is like first when I see little girls in my outfits or when they bring me my action figure to sign, that's when it gets so surreal. I'm like, no way, like you're really, really doing it. Like this is awesome. And just to know the fact, like when I have little girls come up to me and be like, I watched this match and now I want to be a wrestler like you, like that just touches my heart so much. So I hope to keep inspiring women and men, just to live their dream and to never give up.
And obviously being in NXT for so long, except from Bayley, because I think we know that would be your answer, Can you just give us a couple of names of who you would like to see on the main roster right now from NXT?
Well, I'm really excited that the Vaudevillains are up. End Zone Cast are up. Oh, God, who else should I want? I love Ty Dillinger. I think he's great. I love Scott Dawson and Dash. I think they're awesome. I think Peyton Royce is really good. I'd love to see her up here. I don't know. We got so many people already. I need to ooh, Nakamura. Oh my God. It's like I'm marrying him.
And you talk about sort of inspiring young women, and I guess to kind of throw a curveball question here, what would you say to like the parents, the mums, the dads, the guardians of young men and women who want to get into wrestling? Like, would you tell them to go for it? Do you think, is that the way that should it be a supportive thing where people are just saying, you know, this is your dream, you need to go for it?
I would, but I would say go to school first. I wish I finished college just to know to have a backup, but I would say just if it's their dream, let them do it and trust in them and let them inspire that this is their dream. I remember when I started, my mom was just like, what did I do? What did I do to raise you wrong? Like, why are you watching wrestling? But I told her, I'm like, Mom, just listen, give me this chance, give me this opportunity, and I'm going to be someone. And now she's my biggest fan. She comes to every match that she can. She flies out to, and it's cool to know that I turned her into a fan. And now, not only does she like me, but she watches wrestling like every single week because she's a fan now. But I think, yeah, just let them do it.
WWE now have the Performance Center down in Orlando, which you obviously took full advantage of while you were down there, and they didn't have that a few years ago. It wasn't as sort of like streamlined as it is now. But talk about the Performance Center and how important that is for WWE talent when they first sign.
The Performance Center is legit a college for wrestling. It's insane, and we were given so much. I mean, we have the top coaches in the world. We have a promo room where we can practice our promos. We have a place where we can do voiceovers and pretend that we're like sitting next to an announcer and practice matches like that. And we have the state-of-the-art gym, and it's an amazing place for wrestlers. And it's so exciting for any wrestler to go there and have the opportunity to train and perform there. It's top notch.
And obviously in the UK, next year will be 25 years since we had SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium. 80,000 people, the British Bulldog wins the Intercontinental Championship. Do you think that the UK could get a pay-per-view again? Like, could we get like a Money in the Bank or a SummerSlam or a Battleground or something like that? Could it happen?
In WWE, you never know what's going to happen. So, yes, I can definitely say that. That would in 25 years? Oh yeah.
And you worked with Finn a lot in NXT. Who would you like to see Finn work with on the main roster when he comes up?
I would like to see him work against Tyler Breeze or AJ Styles. Tyler Breeze, AJ Styles, and Sami Zayn are my three favorite people to watch. They're the best.
And I mean, getting to interact with like legends and people that you grew up watching must be a really strange experience. And I just wondered, do you have any sort of examples or stories of meeting people that you idolized growing up or watched growing up and maybe being starstruck and had to pull yourself together? I mean, like, was it seeing Vince McMahon walking down the corridor with his walk, or do you have any stories like that?
I think it was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I remember I asked Joey Mercury to introduce me to him because I was so nervous, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was in catering, and I walked in and I saw him. I was like, oh! I just grabbed the cookie, so I was just like, I looked like I did something, and I ran out of there. I'm like, oh my God, Stone Cold Steve Austin, no way! I'm like, please just help me. I'm really nervous. And then he introduced me to him. We had a conversation, and he walked away, and I just started crying. I was just like, this is so cool.
Well, I'm sure in a couple of years somebody will be walking up to you and doing the same thing. And obviously with the WWE Network as well, like there's so much content to watch. And do you think it's like easier for people to relate to maybe like an older, like an Undertaker? They can go back and watch stuff from his heyday, and because we are kind of spoiled with how much there is to watch on the network.
You can watch anything on the WWE Network. We have legit content from 1980s, the 70s, the 60s to the current content now, and I love going back and watching like old SmackDowns and Raw, and it just makes me feel like a kid again. I'm like, wow, this stuff is so cool. And when I see my picture on the front page of like the network, sometimes I just go, man, I am truly living my dream, and it's so awesome. You can get every pay-per-view in the history of wrestling. Like, what? That is awesome.
Well, Sasha, I want to thank you. We here at WhatCulture are really happy that you took the time to talk to us. We wish you all the best. I'm sure that you will have many championships and more cool entrances and stuff to show us. So thanks for being here. I've been Kenny McIntosh from WhatCulture.com. She's been Sasha Banks, and we'll be back soon.
WhatCulture.com are releasing a new magazine about wrestling, and it's called Wrestling. It'll have 140 pages of timeless wrestling content, including a brand new How WWE Should Have Booked written by this virulent son of a bitch. It will also have a list of the 100 best wrestling matches of all time compiled by WhatCulture staff and wrestling insiders. So the magazine is available to pre-order now. Follow the link in the description and enjoy WhatCulture.com's Wrestling.